Hey guys, this is kind of an interim video. I don't usually make one during the week, but I thought I would make this video for posterity because after 2.5 years, I finally got COVID. I think it's going to be a mild version. I just kind of feel like I have a cold. And I was out and about yesterday, but I did everything outdoors. So I'm hoping that all the people I interacted with are going to be fine. And like, I even got some food at Twisted Indian, but I just went in and ordered, and then I did wait inside for it not too long, but then I took it to go with me home. So I hope everybody in there is okay. I hope the person I had coffee with yesterday is going to be okay. We were sitting outside. So apparently my superhuman farm genes did not prevent me from getting COVID. However, I did say that what my superhuman farm genes prevent me from getting is an illness or a virus that causes a fever. So, well, I'm a little warm, but I don't get things that give me a fever. So, the original COVID was like crazy fever and that kind of stuff. So now a friend of mine just had it, and it was just like a cold, and she was just really tired. So I think that's what's going to happen to me. So I actually relish the thought of being exhausted because I've been sleeping really bad for the past week. So if I could just like get in some good sleep, that would be great. I also need to work though. So hopefully I will have enough energy to do some work. One of my friends, I've been in kind of a low mood lately. I kind of mentioned about the 5,000 Hugs project, but I actually, if you want to go take a look, I just redesigned the homepage for 5,000 Hugs at 5000hugs.com. And, I had just been watching the feedback and feeling like people didn't get it, and like they didn't understand why I was doing it. And so I did actually get some good advice from Paul, for those of you who are on his station, Renetto, his channel. And just also, again, just sort of watching people try to understand it. There's a reason I went about it the way I did at the beginning, but it didn't have the effect that I thought it would. So I've changed the message a little bit. It's the same project, but I changed the message a little bit to help people understand what I'm doing. So if you want to check that out, that would be great. But I need to do some client work this week, and I already can kind of feel that I feel tired. I had trouble sleeping again last night because I had I felt like I wanted to cough. So I actually got up at 3 a.m. and took some NyQuil, and I think I might have gotten like 3 hours of good sleep after that, once it kind of settled in. So yeah, I'm really trapped in my apartment now, and will probably order some groceries and maybe have someone pick them up for me. I've had a couple people offer to help me already, which is great. I have such amazing people around me. But yeah, I don't like to be, I'd rather bring someone else soup than have someone have to bring me soup. So that's kind of frustrating. But I'm thankful that I think it's going to be a super mild case of COVID. You can tell my nose is all stuffed up and my throat is still a little weird, but it doesn't hurt anymore in my throat, so that's good. It kind of did yesterday, but I took a COVID test yesterday morning and it said I was negative, so that's why I felt like safe to wander around the world, right? Because I thought it was, I'm in Florida. I live in the most humid city in the country. That's not something you want. You don't want to live in the most humid city in the country. But right now it's getting toward the middle of September, and my air conditioner runs almost nonstop. It just happens to not be running right now. But it runs a lot, and so you feel really dried out, and you feel like sometimes you just can't drink enough water. So yeah, and I just have to keep clearing my throat because there's just stuff in it. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't get COVID when it was really terrible and wreaked havoc on your body. So it is what it is. I guess we kind of knew eventually we'd all get it, but I did like to think that I had some superhuman power to prevent me from getting it, but I was wrong. So what else do I want to say? I really appreciate the feedback on my last video, and what's really interesting is, I don't tell those stories a lot. Usually just when I maybe get in a new relationship and I'm trying to help them get to know me. And so really in the making of that video, I actually learned some new things about myself, or just, I don't know, some things just really hit me when I went back and watched it. Like, wow, I didn't even later in life, I didn't realize how important that was. Like when I said I was desperate for human contact, I just did some research, and not getting human touch can affect your mental and physical health in very real ways. And so maybe I love hugging because I'm trying to make up for all of that physical touch that I didn't get during those very formative years of my life from 10 to 16, So it's been a really, even though the past, 3 weeks, month have been kind of difficult for me, I've also really gained some incredible insight, and also just reconnecting with Paul in a closer way. I feel like I've learned so much, and it's all been good. It's all been great. So yeah, just so many interesting things. I don't want to say too much about that because that's gonna come into one of my later videos when I talk about when Paul and I met. But yeah, sometimes until you hear yourself say something, and to be able to watch myself say it and go, wow, that's so powerful, and that had so much of a bigger impact on my life than I thought it did. Even recently, even a few years ago, I guess I didn't realize the forces that were driving my behavior, So just great stuff. I love that I've gotten to a place where I can see everything about myself, so clearly. And until you can see yourself that clearly, it's hard for anyone else to see you that clearly, because, many times we give off an impression of ourselves that is what we think we are at that time, but it really isn't at all, because we don't see ourselves very clearly. So it's just, I feel like I've never been so content in my life. And it doesn't mean I'm happy all the time. Nobody's happy all the time. That's not normal. But I'm content, and I really feel like I know who I am. And because I know who I am, I can share that with people. Even like the stuff that isn't great, the stuff that is difficult for me. But like, how can you ask someone to be sensitive to something or to see why you do something if you don't know, you know? So it's been very, very interesting, and I'm enjoying this self-discovery and self-awareness. And I mean, I've always been kind of a confident person, but a lot of that was probably just for show. I might have felt it at the time, but I think it was me wanting to be more, sometimes. But now I'm just, I'm confident because I know who I am, and I know what my skills are and what I bring to the world, what I can offer to the world. And yeah. So anyway, I can't wait to make the other videos and see what I discover about myself in them. My childhood, your child, anybody's childhood is really where a lot of who you are comes from, because of things that happen, because you're just at such a impressionable age, where things really have a big impact on you. Whereas if someone did the same thing or you experienced the same thing today, you'd be like, oh, that just is what it is. But when you're that young, it feels very big and personal. And so, yeah. What else? Do I have anything else to tell you? Yeah, so I'm bummed. I had to move a bunch of appointments because of having COVID. I was supposed to go to my chiropractor, which I could really use right now, but I moved that to next week. And then, I was supposed to get some imaging done so I can get a top night guard. I had to move that. That was going to cost me $500, so that's fine to put that off for a week. Although I would like to get that night guard. Then I was going to have coffee with a friend on Thursday, and we had already postponed it from last week. So now we had to postpone it again. And I was supposed to hang out with someone on Friday, so that's probably not happening. I need to talk to my niece to see when to test next. She said in a text 7 days, but that's like, I thought it was only like 5 days. Anyway, because I also on Saturday, I'm supposed to give free hugs again, which free hugs are actually kind of safe. You might not think that, but unless you stand there right in front of someone and talk to them for like 5 minutes, you're just both turning your heads in opposite directions and hugging, and that's it. So I have a little sign. I have a little sheet on my sign, my free hug sign, that says, this is how we can be safe. Number 1, we're outdoors. Number 2, we each turn our face to the left so that we're facing away from each other and not breathing on each other. So I do think that part is safe. It's more if you stood there with someone in front of them and just like breathed on them. So, but that's supposed to be Saturday. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Plus, I was going to hang out with someone after that, which was going to be really fun. And so I don't know if either of those two things are happening on Friday or Saturday, which bums me out because I've just been in a good mood lately because I've kind of been more social. And so, yeah. And in fact, I spend a lot of time alone anyway because I live alone and work from home. But, that was one of the parts of COVID that I always dreaded, was the isolation, because I spent for 4 or so years at the beginning of, starting in 2014, I spent a lot of time in isolation because of migraines. So the pandemic started just as I was coming out of having such bad migraines, and my worst fear was like, I'm going to have to isolate. Well, at the time it was like 14 days. Like, I'm gonna have to isolate and it's gonna kill me. Again, physical touch, like, you know, I don't want to have no physical human touch for 2 weeks. So we'll see how it goes. I'll talk to my niece. She works at a hospital. She kind of knows what's going on. So, yeah. So I hope I don't have to isolate for. I mean, I thought the rule was like 5 days recently, but obviously you have to test negative. So, uh, we will see how it goes. I might check in more often than usual during this time. um, just to feel like I'm connecting with the outside world. But so send me all your positive thoughts. Hopefully, this will be a very mild version, and now I can say I had it. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye bye.